What if you had to find your own food without grocery stores? No canned goods, no fast food, just nature and hard work. How did people survive? From hunting wild animals to making cheese at home, discover the amazing ways our ancestors ate before modern stores changed everything. Number 10. Hunting and fishing. Before grocery stores, people got their meat and fish by hunting animals and catching fish. This was a way of life for thousands of years. People hunted deer, rabbits, and wild birds using bows, spears, and later, guns. They also fished in rivers, lakes, and oceans using nets, traps, and fishing lines. Hunting and fishing were not just for food. They also provided materials for clothing, tools, and shelter. Many communities shared their catch with family and neighbors. Some groups, like Native Americans, used every part of an animal to avoid waste. Seasons and weather played a big role in when and how people hunted and fished. In winter, food was harder to find, so people dried, salted, or smoked meat and fish to make it last longer. This helped families survive when food was scarce. Number 9. Foraging for wild berries and nuts. Before grocery stores, people collected wild berries and nuts from forests, fields, and mountains. This was an important way to find food, especially in warmer months. Families picked strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries. They also gathered nuts like acorns, walnuts, and hazelnuts. Foraging was a skill passed down from parents to children. People learned which plants were safe to eat and which were poisonous. Some berries, like elderberries, had to be cooked before eating. Nuts were often dried and stored for winter. Many animals also ate berries and nuts, so people had to collect them before they were gone. Some groups used baskets or cloth bags to carry their finds. Wild berries and nuts were eaten fresh, dried, or made into jams and pastes. These foods were full of vitamins and helped people stay healthy. Number 8. Homegrown vegetables and fruits. Before grocery stores, people grew their own vegetables and fruits in home gardens. Families planted seeds in the spring and took care of the plants through the summer. They grew potatoes, carrots, onions, beans, and leafy greens. Fruit trees like apple, pear, and peach were also common. Gardening was hard work. People watered the plants, pulled weeds, and protected crops from bugs and animals. They used natural methods like planting certain flowers to keep pests away. Harvest time was very important. Fresh vegetables and fruits were eaten right away, but extras were dried, canned, or stored in root cellars for winter. Families shared food with neighbors and traded crops for things they did not grow. Growing food at home was a way to survive and made sure families had fresh and healthy meals all year. Number 7. Salt-cured and smoked meats. Before grocery stores, people did not have refrigerators to keep meat fresh. Instead, they used salt and smoke to preserve it. Salt curing was a simple method where meat was covered in salt to remove moisture. This stopped bacteria from growing and made the meat last for months. Smoking meat was another way to preserve it. People hung meat over a fire, letting the smoke dry and flavor it. This method was common for making bacon, ham, and jerky. Different types of wood, like hickory or applewood, gave the meat a special taste. These methods were very important for survival, especially in winter when fresh food was hard to find. Families stored salted and smoked meats in cool, dry places. This way, they always had food ready to eat, even when hunting or farming was not possible. Number 6. Home-churned butter and fresh dairy. Before grocery stores, people got milk from their own cows or goats. Fresh milk was used for drinking, cooking, and making other dairy products. Since there were no refrigerators, milk had to be used quickly before it spoiled. To make butter, families let the milk sit until the cream rose to the top. They collected the cream and churned it by shaking or stirring it for a long time until it turned into butter. The leftover liquid called buttermilk was used for baking or drinking. Cheese and yogurt were also made at home by adding special bacteria to milk. Some families stored dairy in cool cellars or placed milk jugs in streams to keep them fresh longer. Dairy products gave people important nutrients like calcium and protein, helping them stay strong and healthy. Number 5. Baking bread from scratch. Before grocery stores, families baked their own bread at home. They mixed flour, water, salt, and yeast to make dough. Some people did not have yeast, so they used sourdough starters, which were passed down for generations. Baking bread was hard work. The dough had to be kneaded for a long time and left to rise before baking. People used wood-fired ovens, brick ovens, or iron stoves to bake loaves. The smell of fresh bread filled the house, and every meal had homemade bread. Since bread became stale quickly, people found ways to use old bread. They made breadcrumbs, toast, or pudding to avoid waste. Some families baked large batches to last all week. Bread was a daily food and an important source of energy, making it a key part of life for many generations. Number 4. Corn as a staple food. Before grocery stores, corn was one of the most important foods for many families. People grew corn in their fields and used it in many ways. Fresh corn was boiled or roasted, while dried corn was ground into cornmeal to make bread, porridge, and pancakes. Corn was also used to make hominy, grits, and tortillas. Families stored dried corn in sacks to use throughout the year. Nothing was wasted. Husks were used for weaving, and cobs were burned for fuel. Many Native American tribes taught early settlers how to grow and cook corn. It was an important food because it was easy to grow and could feed many people. Corn provided energy and nutrients, helping families survive when other crops failed. Even today, many traditional dishes still use corn as a main ingredient. Number 3. Making homemade jams and preserves. Before grocery stores, people made jams and preserves to store fruit for a long time. Fresh fruits like strawberries, blueberries, apples, and peaches spoiled quickly, so families cooked them with sugar to make jam. This thick, sweet spread could last for months or even years when sealed in jars. Some people made fruit preserves by boiling fruit with honey or molasses instead of sugar. Others made jelly by straining out the fruit pieces, leaving only a smooth, clear spread. Canning was the most common way to store jams. Families used glass jars with tight lids to keep air out. These jars were kept in cool, dark places like cellars. Making jam was an important skill passed down through generations. It helped families enjoy fruit all year, even in winter when fresh fruit was not available. Number 2. Making cheese at home. Before grocery stores, people made their own cheese using fresh milk from cows, goats, or sheep. Since milk spoiled quickly, turning it into cheese was a way to make it last longer. Families warmed the milk and added natural substances like vinegar or rennet to make it curdle. The solid curds were separated from the liquid whey, then pressed into cheese. Different types of cheese were made based on how long they were aged. Soft cheeses like cottage cheese were eaten fresh, while hard cheeses were stored for months. Some cheeses were salted or smoked to last even longer. Cheese was an important food because it provided protein and nutrients. People stored it in cool cellars or wrapped it in cloth. Making cheese at home was a useful skill, helping families enjoy dairy even when fresh milk was not available. Number 1. Brewing herbal teas and medicinal drinks. Before grocery stores, people made their own herbal teas and medicinal drinks using plants, flowers, and roots. These natural drinks were not just for enjoyment, but also for healing. Chamomile tea helped with sleep, peppermint tea soothed stomach pain, and ginger tea eased colds. Families grew herbs in their gardens or collected wild plants from fields and forests. They dried the leaves and stored them in jars for later use. Some people boiled bark, roots, or berries to make stronger medicinal drinks. Honey was often added for sweetness and extra health benefits. These homemade drinks were important because doctors were not always available, and medicine was expensive. Knowledge about healing herbs was passed down from parents to children. Even today, many people still enjoy herbal teas continuing an old tradition of using nature for health and comfort. Can you imagine living without a grocery store? Which of these old food traditions would you try? Tell me in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more amazing stories from history. See you next time!